Okay, hi. Good morning to our guests of honor, lecturers and students. I am Alina Aisha, and today I will be your moderator for this forum. And I would like to start off this forum by quoting Miles Monroe, and he said that the value of life is not in its duration, but in its donation. And your life is important not because of how long you have lived, but because of how effective you have lived. And so I believe that as human beings, we all of us have bigger missions to accomplish in our lifetime. And one of that mission is to ask yourself about how do you help the person next to you, how do you help your community, how do you help society and the environment. And as art practitioners, one of the most important question that we can ask ourselves is, how do we create art that can bring positive impact to the people, society, as well as the environment? And so the topic that we are going to discuss today is the practice of designing for social impact. And we are very grateful at ICAD to be joined by none other than Ms. Poesy Liang, an interdisciplinary artist.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
And so I think we can jump straight into the questions, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the first question that I want to ask you is because I think in order for us to help other people, we first need to help ourselves first, because if we're not in a good state, like how can we possibly help other people, right? So my first question for you is, how do you motivate yourself and get creative again after life-altering events and traumatic experiences? Because I know that you have been very open about having to overcome paralysis. I think it's caused by spinal tumors.
Yes.
Correct. We want to know, how do you do it?
So you were asking me how I switch my creativity on and off?
Yes, pretty much.
I think we're in a room full of creative people, and when you're creative, it doesn't ever switch off, right? And the creativity is actually the lifeline of a creative person. So we do have this saying about artists as well. If you cannot live without practicing art, then you're an artist. So in terms of the life challenges, I feel the creative lifeline was very important, was vital in my healing journey. Basically, I'm really immersed into the creativity to carry myself into wellness. Creativity and art is really vital for mental health as well. So not just physical health, mental health is also reliant on that lifeline that I'm talking about. I could dive into this quite deep, but we could move on to the next and then come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next question is, how do you create art and also design that can have a positive social impact?
Social impact. Yeah. So in the journey of healing for myself, social impact was also a very big part of it. That the philosophy of selflessness was something that carried me, because we are humans, we're all in pursuit of happiness, and what we define as happiness, everyone will have their own different versions. My definition of happiness comes from the element of selflessness. It's often quite a tussle, right? Because creative people tend to be quite ego-centered. So when you're able to step out of that ego, and you have to dive deep into your spirituality. So how do I do social impact? First, you design the system. So I could bring in Helping Angel. It is a social movement of random kindness. So random kindness is the core of selflessness, right? When we do something when nobody asked you to brighten up someone's day or help someone. So when I first discovered Facebook, it was in 2007. That was many years ago. And I was obsessed and addicted. And after 1 month, I was like, this is not working out because I'm wasting too much time. So let's find something productive to do on Facebook. And I used it as a tool. Social media, at that point, it was very new. I could use it to gather a community to do random acts of kindness activities. So I designed Helping Angels with 4 rules: no fundraising, no commerce, no religion, no politics. When people do something for others, a lot of times there are ulterior motive behind it. And in order to remove all these ulterior motive, I took away those 4 things. And then I challenged, how do we come up with projects? Most of the time when people do charity or welfare work, they would first think of, how do we fund this thing? We need to go out and pass the hat around and raise funds. But to crack a bad joke, Malaysians are very good at cronyism. We are very good at, it's about 关系, who you know and who will give you favors. So one of my first projects was to bring a busload of children to the bird park without raising any funds. So my volunteers were asking me, how do you do this? Well, you know, we all have cronies. Who do you know that you could pick up a call and say, hey, I want 60 Happy Meals from McDonald's. I want 60 tickets into Bird Park for free. Who knows a bus company owner who would give us a bus to drive these kids to and fro? And so that's what we did. We called Aeroline, we called Bird Park. A lot of us have personal friends like that. So you use your cronyism, appeal to them and say, we're bringing a bunch of children to the bird park for an experience. Now, the other side of the design of this project is that I've designed an experience where the volunteers come together and they get to, because most of my volunteers come from well-off backgrounds and they do not have exposure to people who are less fortunate than themselves. So I designed this program so that the volunteers get to spend a day with children who were from a different background, who did not have the access that we are so blessed to have. I designed that program that way. I bridged the social difference and that exposure. From my end, I'm planting a seed. And that is a piece of artwork for me. I continued doing this for 15 years. And this particular system that I designed was scalable. I did it all over the world. We had jazz concerts for blind people in San Francisco without raising a dime. I always get someone texting me, emailing me and say, hey, I'm so inspired by what you're doing. I wish I can be part of your projects, your programs. Wait lah, let me be more successful first. They will always say that. I'm like, no, you don't have to be more successful because like right now when you're studying, it's a great time to extend yourself to help someone with a random act of kindness. So I would sometimes ask the person, do you have a hobby? That person had a photography hobby. And I'm like, okay, good. So use your photography skills and see how you can help others. You highlight the plight of people and put in a part of yourself into it. So this clown became a follower of mine. I had a clown who followed me and he wanted to join my program. I said, well, on your off day, you can still come as a clown and make these toy balloons for the kids. Great. So hairdressers, they came and gave haircuts. Photographers came and covered the event. And the reason why the media took on to it so well was because even the journalist was like, can I come and help during my off time? And after that, it was like, well, I really need to write about this. So I always say use your best skills, right? So most of us, we're here studying design, and at some point you're going to be interdisciplinary, and you're going to have multiple knives in your drawers, I always say. So each of your skill is a knife. If you can write, that is a knife. If you can paint, that is one other knife. If you can design, that's another knife. So as we go along, we sharpen all these knives as we go along. So you pull out your drawer, how many knives do you have? Use them all, or use one by one. That's what I do for all these journeys. I collect knives and I sharpen them every season. And every opportunity there is a way for me to help someone or do something, take them as opportunities to sharpen those knives. So I can go on and on.
Yeah, so that was quite the story actually, and I didn't want to interrupt your train of thoughts.
Okay.
But basically what you're saying is that when you do, I mean, if you do have, like connections, good connections, you can really, use it for good. Like how to use it for good instead of, doing it for bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also, I see a point that basically kindness spreads. Like if you start something, even if you start small, you kind of create like this snowball effect, and once you get started, everyone kind of want to join in the fun,
You definitely need to start small. I always say start small, no need to start big.
Yeah, so I mean, those are some really good points, and also the takeaway that I can get from you, like one of it is that even if you feel like you're not enough, with the skill that you already have, you can actually do so much, even having so little. Actually, like
we're never going to be enough anyway.
Yeah, true. Like we're always growing,
you just
right?
got to start somewhere. So we got more and more serious. We had this program that ran for 15 years called Thursday Tutoring. And I said, well, we need to stop doing the bird parks and the musical shows and the concerts. Let's do something that's going to really help the kids. These kids are lacking parental attention. They don't have parents, right? And they live in homes. So let's do a weekly event on Thursday. So I call it Thursday Tutoring. You only need to give me 2 hours of your Thursday. And we went to the home, sit down and help them do homework. So a lot of people say, oh, but I'm not a qualified teacher. I'm like, well, as long as you know ABC 1, 2, 3 and you know how to join the dots, you're already equipped to help someone do their homework. Those who are better help the older kids. Those who are not as good help the younger kids. I even had this program duplicated in Hong Kong. I mobilized a whole bunch of uni students to help the kids that we were helping. But for me, art can communicate so much. I don't need language. Art was a language. Color was a language. So you can use so many things. Limitations are just excuses, okay?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe because our talk is actually quite short.
Yes.
So maybe the last question that you can answer is, what are the 3 takeaways that you can give to artists and designers in this generation and era?
3 takeaways kind of. Yeah, I got 3 takeaway, 130 lah maybe, but you have to hire me as a lecturer perhaps. If there are Q&A, anyone has any questions?
Yeah, so maybe we can move to a Q&A session now. So if any students have any questions that you would like to ask Ms. Poesy Liang, please go ahead and raise your hand. Maybe our usher can.
So if you guys don't want to ask questions, right, look at my full name and follow me on Instagram. Just Poesy Liang on Instagram. Follow me, please, because I want followers. Thank you.
Some plugins there.
Yeah, plug.
Okay, so anyone have any question? Yeah, I see someone raising their hand there.
Thank you.
What makes you want to help?
What makes me want to help people? Along the way, I have been helped a lot. Oh man, as an artist, right, I don't know when my next paycheck is gonna come. I don't know when I'm gonna sell an art piece. And it really takes random acts of kindness from people of every level to tell people about me, right? So along the way, I get helped a lot, and it's just giving back. And the thing is, if I expect to help, and in any position that I am in, I will help others because you pay it forward. And at the end of the day, abundance starts with generosity. So if you you can find a way to be generous without depleting yourself or putting yourself in any type of trouble, you are gonna be in abundance. You may not be a billionaire, but you will have richness in your life. Okay?
Did she answer your question well? Okay, so maybe we can
do the three
takeaways. Yeah.
Three takeaways, design. We're going to talk about design. So I'm speaking to quite a number of different disciplines here, right? Storytelling is important. I'm sure you learned this in class. So storytelling, you do need to preempt what is the next thing. So technology, be tech savvy is a good thing. And having many knives in your drawers is a good thing. So never stop learning, and you can learn from anybody. Research, spend a lot of time in research. Empathy, that's not three takeaways already, like I'm going on and on. So empathy, design takes empathy. And so a lot of you are in graphics design, and we're talking about social impact here. You might want to experience a day in the life of somebody who might have visual impairment because you're creating visual things. So do a research on accessibility design, how do visually impaired people see things, contrast, colors, things that a visually perfect person can see, a visually impaired person may not be able to see a contrast. Okay.
I think you summarized it pretty well.
Okay.
And yeah, so I think that would be the end of our first sharing session.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, so that is all the time that we have for our first sharing session, and on behalf of the ICAD team, we would like to thank you very much for joining us today and sharing your knowledge and your experiences. And I really hope that with this sharing session, it can help students and art practitioners to be more loving and empathetic as well as compassionate when you are creating or making your designs. So yeah, thank you everyone.
Thank you, Adelina.
Thank you, Poesy.
If you have any further questions, you can tweet me, okay?